Have you ever felt like you were in love, but losing yourself at the same time? Like you were giving everything, doing everything, being everything, and yet it was never enough? One day they adore you, the next you're walking on eggshells. They call you crazy when you bring up your concerns. They twist your words. They make you question your memory, your feelings, even your reality. If this sounds familiar, you might not just be in a toxic relationship. You might be the target of manipulation. And not just any manipulation, but dark psychology at work. This video is not about blaming or labeling. It's about understanding what's really happening in those confusing, emotionally draining relationships. And more importantly, it's about empowering you to protect your peace, rebuild your identity, and find real love again. Let's dive into the dark psychology of manipulation in dating. Before we talk tactics, let's define our terms. Dark psychology is the study of how people use psychological principles to manipulate and exploit others. It includes strategies rooted in narcissism, Machiavellianism, psychopathy, the so-called dark triad of personality traits. And while not everyone who uses manipulation is a narcissist or a sociopath, the tactics are still dangerous. Why? Because they target your emotions, your empathy, your hope, your need to be loved. Romantic relationships are especially vulnerable to dark psychology because in dating, you open your heart. You let someone in. You give them access to your story, your wounds, your dreams. And a manipulator knows exactly how to use those against you. Let's talk about how. The first tactic we need to expose is called love bombing. It sounds romantic, it's anything but. Love bombing is when someone overwhelms you with affection, attention, compliments, and intimacy very quickly. They tell you they've never felt this way before, that you're different, that they see their whole future with you after a few dates. They might text you constantly, send you gifts, post about you nonstop. At first it feels amazing. It feels like a fairy tale, but the speed, the intensity, it's not about love, it's about control. The goal is to get you emotionally invested before you've had time to truly assess who they are, to get you hooked fast. Because when you're attached, it's easier for them to manipulate you. Once the love bombing has done its job, the next phase begins. Enter gaslighting, one of the most insidious tools in the manipulator's toolkit. Gaslighting is psychological warfare. It's when someone makes you question your own thoughts, memories, or sanity. They lie, they deny, they blame you. You bring up something that hurt you, and they say, "That never happened. You're being dramatic." You always twist things. Over time, you stop trusting yourself. You start to believe that you are the problem. You apologize when you shouldn't. You stay silent just to keep the peace. This is not miscommunication. It's not a difference of opinion. This is emotional domination, designed to make you dependent on their version of reality. And once you lose your trust in your own mind, they can convince you of anything. Another tactic that flies under the radar is playing the victim. It can sound like, "Everyone always leaves me. No one understands how hard my life is. I guess I'm just a terrible partner." This seems like vulnerability, right? But when used manipulatively, it's actually a shield against accountability. Every conflict turns into their crisis. You express hurt, they melt down. You set a boundary, they accuse you of being cold or unloving. Suddenly, you're not allowed to feel upset because they are hurting more. This keeps the emotional spotlight on them constantly and keeps you stuck in a loop of guilt and rescue. You feel like you can't leave because then you're the bad guy. And slowly, you begin to lose your sense of what's fair, what's reasonable, and what you need. Now that we've covered the tactics, how do you spot them early? Because the key to protecting yourself is recognizing the signs before you're too deep. Here's what to look for. Too much too soon. If someone is planning your future after 2 weeks, slow down. Real intimacy takes time. Inconsistent behavior. One day you're the best thing that's ever happened to them, the next they go cold. That hot and cold cycle is meant to keep you chasing. Deflection of responsibility. They never apologize sincerely. Everything you bring up is turned back on you. Emotional confusion. You're constantly asking, "Is it me? Did I overreact? Maybe I'm being unreasonable." Loss of identity. You stop doing things you love. You change how you talk, dress, act, just to keep them happy. But the biggest red flag isn't in them. It's in you. If you constantly feel anxious, on edge, like you're performing instead of living, that's your intuition screaming at you. Listen to it. So how do you protect yourself? Here's what no manipulator wants you to know. You don't need permission to leave. You don't need to justify your boundaries. You don't need to convince anyone that your pain is valid. You just need to trust yourself again. Start with self-awareness. Keep a journal. Write down what was said, what happened, how you felt. Over time, patterns will emerge, and those patterns don't lie. Build your boundaries and enforce them. If someone makes you feel guilty for having limits, that's not love, that's control. Rebuild your support system. Manipulators isolate you on purpose. They'll say your friends are a bad influence or your family doesn't understand you. Reconnect anyway. You'll need them when you decide to walk away. And most importantly, give yourself permission to heal. Leaving a manipulative relationship is just the first step. The healing takes time because it's not just about what happened, but what it did to your sense of self. Therapy helps, so does time, so does being gentle with yourself. And finally, what does real love look like? Because when you've been manipulated, you might start to believe that chaos is passion, that jealousy is care, that control is love, but that's not true. Love is calm. Love is steady. Love honors your boundaries, respects your emotions, and holds space for your healing. A healthy partner doesn't make you question your worth. They don't need to break you down to feel powerful. They don't disappear when you need them or show up only when they want something. They see you and love you as you are. So if you've been manipulated, if you're healing, or if you're just beginning to open your eyes, know this: you are not broken. You are not dramatic. You are not unlovable. You are waking up, and that is one of the bravest things a person can do. You deserve peace. You deserve clarity. You deserve real, healthy, gentle love. And it starts with you choosing yourself every day.